Hi, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Hope you all are doing well. Welcome back for the final, if you can believe, the final Connect with Yasmine event. My name is Yasmine-Imani McMorrin. I am very honored to be running for Culver City Council. During the day, I serve as the Interim Dean of Students and Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at USC Gould School of Law. And for our city, I serve as the Vice Chair for the General Plan Advisory Committee. And as relevant to today's conversation, I recently wrapped up working with the Equity Strategic Advisory Committee with our school district. So as it indicates on the banner below, we invite you to share the stream out in the last few days of the election. It's still good to amplify and to get out word about the campaign. Maybe some folks don't know about Team Yasmine, so please utilize the hashtags, hashtag Team Yasmine and hashtag Vote McMorrin. You never know who you might reach, so we invite you to do that, and thank you in advance for that. In terms of the overall campaign goals, I'm incredibly rooted and interested in equity and inclusion. And we really want to see that centered in our policies. We want to see that centered in our budget allocations. And we really want to make sure that Culver City is a safe and thriving community for everyone, for our businesses. And whether you live, work, learn, or play here in our community, we want to make sure that folks are met with a community that is welcoming and inclusive. So today, and again, the intention of Connect with Yasmine was to sort of bridge this COVID gap that we find ourselves in. I hope that you all are still socially distancing and wearing masks, because I'm hearing that numbers are going up, and so we want folks to remain safe. And Connect with Yasmine sort of came out of trying to reach the Culver City community and our neighbors in a safe way. So I can't believe that it's the last one, but I'm so honored to have Dr. Kelly Kent, who's our former school board president and is currently on our school board and is running for a re-election. So we're going to support her as well on or before November 3rd. And I met Dr. Kent. I'm trying to remember if it was in 2016 or 2017, but around the time, we had just moved and I was getting involved in PTA, and I remember looking up her on LinkedIn and realizing that we both went to Rutgers. So Kelly has been a mentor and a friend pretty much since I connected with her. So I'm so honored to have her here. So welcome, Kelly. And tell people something good, something about you.
Yeah, I'm so honored to be with you tonight. And I think it's pretty special that I get to spend the last Connect with Yasmine with you, because we are nearing this final bend in our efforts to serve the city, and in my case, to continue to serve the city. So it's a pleasure to be by your side. I am Dr. Kelly Kent. I have served one term on the school board. It was a 5-year term, which is unusual, but it was a 5-year term, and I'm rerunning for a second term, which will be a 4-year term if I get elected. And my background is in neuroscience. And so when I first ran, the idea was, and still is, really trying to think about how developing brains learn best, and how can we set up relationships, and how can we set up academic rigor, and how can we set up a culturally relevant curriculum to make our classrooms and learning environments responsive to what we know about that biology. And then I also teach at Antioch University, Los Angeles for psychotherapy graduate students. I teach their neurobiology courses there. And then I also do a bunch of consulting. I have a small consulting business that's here in Culver City that's called Adapt Ed Consultants. And right now, because COVID kind of interfered with some of the major consulting I was doing. I'm primarily doing teacher preparation program reviews, and right now in the state of Louisiana. So for the past 3 weeks, I've been on Central Standard Time reviewing virtually teacher prep programs, like the college programs that give teachers their credentials to help them in program improvement. And so it's been, I wish I was in the state, because of course, when I was doing it last March, we were actually able to eat the food and enjoy the people and be in New Orleans and be in Lafayette. And right now we all have to do it all via a screen. And it's of course a fraction of the pleasure, but twice as much work, none of the food. And now they're going through yet another hurricane.
Wow.
So, but maybe that's enough about me.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I admire and appreciate your work, not just with your science background, connecting everything, but particularly in equity, and making sure we immediately connected on disciplinary policy, and making sure that our school district is accountable, and striving to have a more inclusive environment. So thank you for your work. I hope that you will continue. We are supporting you. And so I just wanted to do like a quick check-in. We have 6 days. How's it going? How are you doing?
That question is tricky, right? Because it was tricky even before campaign season really got going. Yeah, I can't really answer honestly and say, oh, everything's fine and I'm okay. It's tough times, but yeah. I do feel, believe it or not, as intense as it is, I feel hope, I feel optimism locally. I won't speak to the national scene right now, but I feel a great hope locally. I feel that our students are leading us, and I am simply here to follow them. And so it's in a way that was not in existence when I was running the first time. And so they just give me so much sense of stability that if I simply listen and, incorporate what they are asking, what they are, speaking about into the work that I've been doing and the work I'm committed to, then we're going to be okay. I want to continue to just lift their voices and get them into decision-making roles a little bit more each year. So that gives me hope. We're nearing the end, and once we get there, it's going to be okay. The kids are all right.
And they're absolutely all right. And not just in the context of a school board, but for sure, even in, local policy decisions, POC for Change and other students from the high school are just doing fantastic work. And I'm really proud, and I want to see more of that, and I want to encourage them. So yes, listening to students is absolutely so important. And one more thing before we sort of really get into it. I wanted to share, for me, I ran it with, and talked a little bit about it with you. But for me, my why is, it's important who makes decisions that impact all of us. And it's important, with folks who are running, there are 2 firsts that are, myself, I'd be the first Black woman. If Freddie Pouza should be elected, he'd be the first LGBT candidate or person on our council. And I think that that's important. All different kind of folks live in our community, from all different kind of backgrounds and experiences. Many people who grew up here, many people who are like me moved here in the past 5 years. But everyone deserves representation, and I think that's important, and that really informed a lot of my decision to run. So I just wanted to root us a little bit. So what is different, if anything, this go round for you in terms of a why, and why are you running?
Yeah, because it's a little bit of more, as in continuing the story that I, think that I started, that I really tried to start in the first term, but also different, right? I do talk about equity a lot, but you're really the expert. It's your profession and your passion. So I think maybe I'll speak of some of the other things that I hope to work on in my second term. One of them is hiring. Our school district has incredible staff, incredible teachers, incredible, classified staff, those are the non-certificated professionals, so the non-teaching professionals. We have just a beautiful community of grown-ups that are serving our students. But it's the state of affairs in the state of California, and it's the state of affairs nationally. And actually, speaking of the work in Louisiana, it's very much an issue there as well, where the profession is increasingly white and female. And so we have a real need to do better at getting our teaching and classified staff to look a little bit more like, to better match the diversity of our student body. In fact, it's the perfect segue from what you were saying about how representation matters. There's a lot there. I believe in, there's a funny cliche, you can't be it if you can't see it. Mm-hmm. And there's truth. There's a lot of truth there. And so when we talk about modeling, and when we talk about relationships, and when we talk about high expectations for all students, it really is intimately tied with who's at the front of the room. It just is. We know that from science. And so the question is, how do we do that? And some of it we are already planning to do, and some of it we need to make some changes around. So you go to historically Black colleges and universities, and you overtly recruit from these institutions. In California, we have a ton of sources of hiring right in our CSUs. Our California state universities are this incredible source of a more diverse teacher body. And so those are going to be some targeted efforts that I really want to support in my second term. And then also we have to figure out how to support these professionals once they're there, because I think one of the problems with bringing in teachers of color into an environment that is primarily white is there is a phenomenon of tokenism, and then there's a missing culture, right? So you can't just inject teachers of color into a primarily white environment without also bringing on culture shift. So some of the things I've been talking about are supporting through affinity groups, supporting through really putting our money where our mouth is, whether that's incentivizing the hiring, but also even incentivizing the staying and retaining. And then we got to work on the culture change in terms of the environment. We do have a very small percentage of, in particular, African-American teachers in our district, and they have talked about feeling microaggressions. They've talked about not feeling welcome some of the time, and it's not all of the time. And it's also, common in other districts. So CCUSD is not necessarily any worse than some of our neighbors. But what I want us to do is lead. And so I'd really like us to both recruit and retain by actually, putting our resources, and that means dollars, and it means time, and it means effort into supporting these initiatives. That's one of them. Should I?
Well, I absolutely agree with that. And I think the intention and the time and the money is absolutely worth it for the value add that you get, what students will get out of it. All students, not just students who are part of these underrepresented groups or whatever. I don't know the correct, but it's important for everyone to see different kind of folks being in the front of the classroom and being in leadership. So that's definitely transferable. But I do want to be mindful of time. So I want to invite folks. I know that your list is long, so I want to invite folks to go to kellykent.com.
Yeah. Totally. We don't have to talk about my platforms. This is
no, I think that's okay. But I want to make sure we get to the other things on my list also.
The thing about people in education, actually, it's both. It's politicians and educators. They will talk and they will talk and they will talk. And so if you give me a platform to talk about the things that I want to change, I'm going to go until you tell me to stop.
That's what we love. This is the energy that we need. This is why we need her to be reelected. So I also wanted to plug our Culver City Democrats for Progressive Change. I think this really came together really because of Kelly's leadership in getting it's not a slate, but getting a group of progressive Democrats running here in Culver City to sort of have a door hanger, organize the phone and text banking. I believe we have one coming up this Friday. And if you might have received our door hangers a couple of weekends ago or last weekend. So I do just want to amplify this group of progressive candidates, both for school board and, of course, city council. And it's important because we know that just locally there's been lots of energy from other groups amplifying other candidates. So we wanted to make sure that our neighbors, in such a noisy election, there's a lot of stuff on the ballot, a lot of local measures, and we just wanted to make sure that folks really were aware that there are progressive candidates running, and we're all supporting each other. So I want to thank you for really leading that work because it's important, and it will absolutely have an impact in our community. I don't know we have the website here, but I invite folks to go and just check out folks' website, and if you can connect with folks. And then we do have upcoming text bank on Friday. I think it's from 3 to 6, 3 to 5.
3 to 6, and we will be able to just communicate. I just wanted to lift up what you were saying before about how we really began to understand that we needed to message around being the progressive candidates when we saw that there was messaging around some of the other candidates in the city and for the school board that was really quite the opposite. It was around some much more conservative values. And I just got a call tonight for a council candidate that was funded by AGLA, which is the Apartment Association of Greater Los Angeles. So just to be clear, like we realized we had to put some real strategy into being clear that if you want to hang on to the progressive direction Culver City is going and continue to propel it forward, these are the 5 people, because we do see that there's this other messaging coming from some other folks. And so if you're looking for the alternative to that, we're right here. We're Culver City Democrats for Progressive Change.
I love it. So we invite folks to plug in, join our text bank on Friday, and yes, support. And that information is right there. So please plug in and support that. I wanted to make sure to just get some updates. It's been a while. I apologize. It's been a while since I zoomed into a school board meeting, so I do not know what's happening or or what the recent updates. But is there anything that you'd like to share in terms of just how you all are continuing to navigate COVID and I know there was some sports that might be opening up, but just let us know what the news is.
Yeah, so we are bringing students on right now currently for those small athletic conditioning groups that I think you have spoken on about on Connect with Yasmine before, and so that is a success story, and those kids are beaming with joy. They have their masks on, but they are just really, really happy. So it's the right thing, and we are officially now getting input from all of the sites about who are the students who the teachers think need to be, if we're going to be able to do some small group on-site facilitation of instruction, still with their teachers. Okay, so we're still talking about a remote learning environment, but that we would be able to bring some students who are particularly vulnerable onto campus to be in a facilitated space with some grown-ups. And maybe that's going to be outdoors, maybe it's going to have an indoors component, but they're going to be able to see some peers and they're going to be able to interact with some humans that are not their grown-ups at home. And that's clearly a very, very urgent need. And so this week, emails are going out to help teachers identify students within their classes that they would like to have in these small groups. We are not quite yet ready to apply for our waiver through the county to get us back to that place where we can actually try to do full-on hybrid instruction with our TK through second grade students. And we are almost there. We've got the PPE, we've got the county approved safety measures in place, and our sanitizer and our temperature check system, and we are almost there. I think one piece that might be missing is getting the classrooms ready in terms of schedule of cleaning, because that's a tricky piece, right? So once you have new humans in there, you got to figure out what your schedule for sanitizing in between is, and that has yet to be ironed out because there's staff components, right? And staff are rightfully nervous. And so we're really trying to respect that space and work with all of our stakeholders. So both, again, our classified and our certificated staff, to figure out how we can all be on the same team to come back together. I think those were the updates that we got last night. I mean, I was going to maybe give an update on that equity strategic planning work, but I don't know if we have time for that.
Let's do it.
Okay, yeah. So Yasmine, you talked about participating in this year-long process where we developed a strategic plan, or specifically with equity as the lens, and it's been such an important journey. And it's interesting because it really is the result of the 2016 election that was the initiation of that work. And it took us a while to get the ball rolling, but we did eventually bring on a consultant and a facilitator to develop a strategic plan, and we adopted one in August of this year. But now we have to implement, and that's the real work. And of course, you know that better than anyone else because of your day job. So we are forming a new committee. We've sent out invitations, and there are over 100 interested applicants.
That's great.
It's a huge success story, but it does mean, that we're going to have to turn some people away. But then it hopefully means we can very authentically represent our community. We did not do that as successfully this past year as we wanted to. We were missing students. We were missing a decent representation of staff, and we were actually missing a decent representation of all the various, underserved communities that we have in our Culver City village, in our CCUSD village. So we have to very intentionally make sure all the sites are represented, all of the elementary sites, the preschool, the adult school, definitely staff, definitely students. I want to see at least 5 students on that committee. So we have to be intentional. We're going to have non-CCUSD people, so people who are in the community but not necessarily have children in CCUSD, because that community matters as well. And we have to make sure that we have the representation in terms of the diversity of our student body and our surrounding population. So because we have so many applicants, hopefully we can achieve that. And I just want to share.
That's exciting. I saw that email go out.
So, did you apply?
So I have to see. There's a lot going on. But I'm hopeful that I can continue to participate in the work because it is important. So, so I hope so. I wanted to just touch on a little bit. I know that there is a committee or a subcommittee that does meet with the school district, and this is something I wasn't able to touch base with our school board president, Summer McBride, when she was on. But I just wanted to touch on potential ideas for maybe, or enhanced collaboration, considering this pandemic that we're in, considering public space, or I just wanted to allow space if either anyone in the wider community or on the school board had any, if that has come up, because I think in this moment where everyone is thinking about things a little differently, I'm curious as to what the community has to say about that, because I think we should explore more opportunities for collaboration with our school board, because we definitely want to support our students.
We do have a committee. We have a liaison committee. I would say when I first came on the board, this was a weak area in terms of partnership. There used to be funny vibes. I don't know. There was funny energy between the elected officials and between the staff. And now it's much stronger. We have a liaison committee, but it meets infrequently, and it doesn't have a ton of influence or power or say so. And I don't know that we want to be taking power away from the electeds through their body, but the liaison committee has the potential to discuss things that have a greater impact. That's what I hope to see. Mm-hmm. So one thing I'm looking for in terms of expanded partnership is this infrastructure piece. So we have the district has managed to get devices to all of our students, but as I think as Wi-Fi is still a real problem. And so there's a need for infrastructure support there. And then another thing that has come up with some other actually another school board candidate, Paula Amazola, if I may make that plug, is that we do experience that there is a little bit of a segregation effect in terms of if you're a resident in Culver City versus a kid who attends our schools but doesn't live within the Culver City bounds, because the services that support our students that the city funds and runs really are designed to meet the needs of residents first, which on its face makes sense, but in practice ends up really disenfranchising and further underserving students that are not residents. And these kids who apply to be students on permit do tend to be disproportionately Black and brown.
Yep.
For a number of reasons that we could get into another time. And so it ends up that we are underserving some populations that are already at risk. So that's another thing I wanted to explore. In the past, we've explored, some really lofty goals that didn't end up going very far, and now we're definitely on hold, like partnerships around building some housing on campus.
I remember. Yeah. I remember.
Yeah, that one was really, I was so excited about that. And I do feel that we made progress, and the city was really excited to support that. But it got interrupted. And then there have been little things, sometimes we talk about the MOU about the pool, but one of the major ones has been talking about our relationship with CCPD, so we have been discussing what that MOU looks like. And, in the past, CCPD's relationship with us has been, I think, different than what it's going to look like going forward. And so we have to talk about that and bring both those bodies to the table. And I think it needs to meet more than 4 times a year. So there's room for growth there. I'm excited to explore that with you. I'm on it right now, and I hope to be on it again next year.
Well, I would also like to be on it. So we'll see how that works out. Okay, well, thank you so much. Those were my prepared areas I wanted to hit. Was there anything else that you wanted to amplify or share out to our community? And we'll share again about the phone and text banks and events. But.
Yeah, I did want to talk about the students are having an event on Friday, which I just am so, there it is.
Yes.
They're just blowing my mind. I said it earlier, but I'm glad to be able to kind of circle back, because on their own, they are coming up with, issues to champion. And of course the national discussions are informing that, but they really are doing the work themselves. And so one of the pieces is they're holding this event, this town hall on Friday. So we'll be together again. And I've just been really impressed because they're just putting their values right up front, like, here's what we stand for. Here's what we want to see. We are the future. Nobody's going to debate that. The policies that you guys are going to implement impact us maybe more than anyone else. Yeah. There's just this brand new report out by Kelly Lytle Hernandez's group, $1 Million Hoods, that talks about these transitional age youth. TAY is the acronym, and how our policing impacts them. And so I haven't really even been able to look at that report, but I bet you it will come up as a topic of conversation on Friday. And so I'm just so psyched to hear from these students. Again, they give me the hope. So that's what I need right before going into November 2nd.
November 3rd. Yes, it's coming, and we hope that you're able to make it. I want to echo Batanya, Sammy, all of the youth that are not only advocating on behalf of them and our entire community, but including our unhoused neighbors, frequently holding drives. And so I'm incredibly impressed. So please come out on Friday. We've already mentioned our phone text bank, so I hope that folks will utilize the Mobilize link and sign up, because we're in this very, very last push. So we would all appreciate your support in that. I know that Team Yasmine is having one more phone bank on November 2nd. So that's like the very last day. I don't know. So many people have already voted in Culver City. So, and continue to vote. But I don't know how big the universe is going to be, but that's all good for the folks who are waiting to the very last day. But yeah, so thank you so much, Kelly, for coming out and sharing. I'm so inspired by you and appreciative of your support, not just of me, but of course this bigger ecosystem and this community, right? We're all a part of this bigger picture, and you really invest in that, and you absolutely live your values. So thank you so much for being here. And I invite folks in this last push to donate now. To Vote McMorrin.
We still need money. I wish it wasn't true, but we do.
We want to make sure that we can get the word out and continue to support our campaigns, because it does take money. It's unfortunate, but that's just the game that we're in. So if you're able, we would appreciate it. Kelly, any last words?
I'm so honored to be here. Thank you, Yasmine. It's been a pleasure getting to know you and doing this work with you. And we're gonna work some magic next term.
Oh, that's the goal. All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much. We ran a little long today, but I think it was worth it. So thank you for being here. Take good care, and continue to connect with us at votemcmorrin.com, phone, text bank, POC for Change on Friday. Thank you so much. Take good care.